Good evening. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your SPDR ETF stock market wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for Tuesday, the 18th of November, 2025. Well, my friends, tomorrow's the big day. We're going to get the Nvidia numbers. Now, for those of you that pay attention to AI, what do you think they're going to come out and do? I can't imagine that we're not going to get a great song and dance show, and that Jensen is going to say things are great, new products. He'll go into how they're going to expand the company, hopefully a lot of forward guidance, and do all that window dressing that needs to be done. If he doesn't do that, or if the market doesn't like what he says, then there's another leg to the downside you got to be careful of. But what this market has done over the past 5-6 days is we've seen a heck of a correction set in. You're getting people doing their year-end profit taking probably, and if not, on rallies, they're considering doing it. I'm listening to people say, hey, start to trim position on the rallies back up. That's logical. I'm hearing people also say, hey, this is the buying opportunity you've been waiting for, so instead of going in with both feet, take your hand, go in with a little bit. Buy a little of this, buy a little of that. That has nothing to do with chart action. They're just saying if you want in, they're picking a spot and they think this is it. I'll leave that up to you, not up to me. That's complete where it's at. I'm the chartist. We'll talk about that. We're going to get the mortgage bankers numbers tomorrow at 6 in the morning. We're going to get U.S. trade balance data coming out at 7:30 a.m. They're looking for a deficit of about $61 billion compared to the last number of 8.3. Fed Governor Myron, it seems he's on every other day, but he's going to address an event Wednesday starting around 9 o'clock. Richmond Federal Bank President Barkin will speak at a luncheon at 11:45. And today, President Trump, again, teasing the public in the Oval Office, talking about the Federal Reserve Chair. There may be some surprise names he's considering. And then he comes out and says, but he thinks he's made his pick. He just wants to keep you going. Can I make it any clearer? That is the game that is here right now, and that's where he's at. You know the Epstein files, they are been approved by the House to be released. I believe by the time we wake up in the morning, the Senate probably did the same thing. And by the way, I am not related to that Epstein. People write those funny things. It'd be an embarrassment if I were, but I am not. I don't know the man, never heard of the man up until then. And it was interesting to see Larry Summers today have to do what? He resigned his positions. So obviously there's a lot of people we don't know about that when they release these files, there's going to be embarrassment. But we have one Teflon guy, and his name is President Trump. And since he changed gears where he wants them released, he and his team think they have ways to fight this off. And there should be some fallout. The question is, how many days of it? I think that's the reality of the situation that we look at. The market's still torn between what do they do with the Fed one way or the other. Does the Fed have enough information to make decisions? So I asked you yesterday to give me a couple of things you want me to cover. Alcoa was one of them. And I was trying to figure, when is the last time I covered Alcoa? I don't remember. So as we look at the chart, the first important thing is charts often fill gaps. Not always, but often. You had a gap here. The market rallied, came down, filled the gap, went back up, left a gap on the way down there, came up, filled it, and filled two gaps. Filled not only that one, filled the one here, came up, and back down. When you look at the swing line is screaming there is no trend in the short term. What you have is the higher high and a low that broke a prior low. When we look at the key moving averages, which are the 18-day average of closes, you were neutral and hanging there, actually from the end of October until just recently. And I mean just the past 4 days. And with this latest break, the market came down. Okay. This should be a zone where there's support beginning now in the 34.80 level. Doesn't even have to reach down there because you made the lowest low of this current break and you closed higher. You could rally back up and fight that battle at the 18-day average of closes. And momentum has been pushing down and is oversold. So whenever I see a market's oversold, I would be teaching, and that's what I do teach in my charting course, that, hey, that is not where you're pressing short positions. It's where you're starting to take money off the table. Another thing going for aluminum. The European Union is going to be meeting with Howard Lutnick, our Commerce Secretary, and there's going to be a lot of talk about steel and aluminum tariffs. You do know that there's no formal deal between the European Union and the U.S. on trade at this point. There may never be. It's very difficult to get a formal deal signed by all the EU members. It's better off being informal. And what the EU is pushing back on right now, they're going, listen, the U.S., you're keeping, while you say tariffs are down to 15% on a lot of items, you've still got steel and aluminum products that are way up there, approaching 50%. We don't want to see you adding to that. So this is going to be one of the things that the markets fight about. We know that aluminum, we don't make enough of it in America. That's the reality of the situation. We'll see where the markets want to come with it, but I see trading fair more than anything. Then another one, Evolve XRP ETF. This was another one that people wrote on today, one of the people. And by the way, write me. When you want me to cover something, put it out there on the YouTube. I will look at it. I'm not going to cover penny stocks. Don't even bother with it. Give me things that you want covered, and I'll do my best to try to do it for you. You've had a downtrend at work. Lower highs, lower lows, and you're terribly oversold. That doesn't mean you can't get to the Bollinger Band. It's a market that had an inside day today. What I'll argue is that the 18-day average in so many of the markets, because we've broken, is the logical first spot to come back up to fight battles. Let's look at Dutch Brothers. I told you that I thought the Bollinger Band, you're oversold. This combination here is enough. That doesn't mean it can't go lower, but for me, if you're sitting next to me, you'd be getting the elbow just like that going, why aren't you covering your shorts? What do you think is going to happen here? You think it's going back to 40? It might. But the high percentage play is when you're oversold and you're at a Bollinger Band, what are you hanging on for? Roku, same thing. You finally got to the number today. Just yesterday I was talking about this. I wanted to see if the market could reach down for the 100-day average and the lower Bollinger Band, and it's oversold. As far as I'm concerned, these are the spots to cover. Now, I know some of you will say I should buy it there. If the market's good enough to come out of shorts on, it's good enough to buy. Everybody has their own style of trade. Just be very cautious. You're not hearing me say that. Then in Netflix, so we had our big split, and look what it did today. This is a huge move to the upside. If you were with me in my morning subscriber video this morning, I said if you put a gun to my head, and if you're a subscriber, you know I said this. I said, this is one of the markets that I think you'd be buying at the 18-day average, and I'd be looking for it to get up to the Bollinger Band. It pretty well did it. The market was already, I think, at 12 when I said that, 112, and it made the run just where I thought it was going to. Why? Number one, I favor the idea that they've done the stock split. It makes it more affordable for the public. Number two, it's still a great company. Number three, you got a correction, but it never crashed the market. It brought it down hard. I mean, you're not up here. You're down here. There is a big difference. So it is a $25, $30 break that the market was able to get off. In Uber's another one of these great companies. It just, the chart action isn't there. What can I tell you? You've got lower highs, lower lows. You're at the Bollinger Band, you're oversold. Again, that elbow would go out, going, why are you holding on to your shorts? And I know you're going to tell me because it's going lower. The percentages don't agree with you. Markets don't stay under the Bollinger Band more than 5% of the time. The black lines here are the Bollinger Band bottom, Bollinger Band top. That doesn't mean you can't break out of the pattern, but why should it? I mean, does Nvidia mean that much to the market? Maybe. I'm not reading it that way for Uber. Tesla, giving people a heartache right now. You had your sideways action. You broke out to the downside for 2 days. You got a bounce. Couldn't make it anywhere up, and you're coming back down. But you're oversold. This is the type of market, for me, that I'm looking at where if I were a short in the market, this is my heaven plays. I'm pulling in shorts right now, not buying. That buying opportunity is coming, and my belief is we will get it. In Joby, came all the way down to the Bollinger Band, oversold. The higher high, the lower low, not trending. I see the resistance. I told you just yesterday, you've got a pattern here that's ugly. You got an 18-day average and 100 that are together. That's not going to be easy to get through at the 1553 level right away. In XLF, the financial services, if you take a look, you're under the Bollinger Band 2 days in a row. You typically don't go more than 5. I've seen it go more, don't get me wrong. All I can tell you is what typically. You're pressing on the pedal here. You're in oversold territory, nowhere near taking these two numbers and putting them under 20, going sideways into what we call embedding. When embedding happens, that adds fuel to a fire, up or down. You're nowhere near that. I wouldn't be surprised that all you did is go, when you look at it, lower band, upper band, lower band, back and forth to just whip traders around as this correction period has happened. In the industrial sector, we now have 3 days in a row, but more important, you're getting what's called that gorilla glue trade. It's where each day you ride the Bollinger Band and you start the process of the embedding. Now, you're not far along in it, which means there's more time to go. You need both the blue and the red number to stay under the 20 level at least 3 sessions in a row. Because this is a daily chart, 3 days in a row. You're nowhere near there. You're oversold. You had a breakout in the chart. Now, I've explained breakouts before, so I'm not going to do them now. This is all covered in my courses at iraepstein.com. You want to take a look at outside day courses and some of those to understand this. In XLE, the energy sector, you come up. Why is energy rallying at all? Well, a couple of things. The sanctions on Russia are about to go on. Number 2, if you lose that Russian oil, while the market knows that OPEC Plus can produce more oil, the question is they haven't been able to do it. OPEC keeps saying, we'll give you more oil. Here's what we're going to allow you to produce more of, and many of the countries aren't hitting the number. So for the short term, that gets friendly when you take oil off the market if you're going to put 500% tariffs on oil and tell countries that buy it, and I don't know which ones the Trump administration is going to do that to, but I think that when there's this much smoke, there's generally a fire right behind it coming. In the gold's trying to make a stand. Bullish, not bearish. The pattern is higher low, higher high. I won't be friendly in the short term if you take out the lows of not today, but yesterday, and you close under that low. 2 elements then. Then I'd have lower highs, lower lows, and I think you'd open the door up for the 358 level, and you do damage to the chart. This chart cannot afford to go down under that low, in my opinion. In Palantir, lower highs, lower lows. Been there, done that, and not able to make much ground, and you're oversold. Bye-bye shorts. That would be the word that I'd be using. Microsoft, another one that can't hold its head up. Everything down. So all the really good companies, all the ones we heard about AI, it's one after the other, have gotten hurt. And you'd expect that that's what you see in market corrections. Now the question on BND is what next here? Was this enough for the market to get a reversal to the upside and do anything with it is going to be the big question. I don't know. We're starting to see jobless claims come in. I saw them today. What was it? The October numbers. They climbed. That's friendly. Why is it friendly, the market? Because it means the Fed's getting a piece of information that says, oh, they're on the right track, in the sense that the labor market's not picking up. We haven't seen CPI and some of the other numbers. One of you wrote me an interesting question that I want to address since I'm on the subject right here. How is the average guy doing? The average worker and so on. Well, they're behind on their car payments. They're not doing well there. Utility bills are up. When's the last time you got a bill from one of the cable companies or your utility company saying we're lowering prices? I mean, these are the things you're using every single day. So what's happening to that person is they have watched food prices, utilities go up, their everyday cost. More people are behind on car payments than in recent times by a lot. The average age of a person buying a home is 40 years old, not 29 years old anymore, 40. So my answer is, for the average guy out there, things are very difficult. And they'll be worse off if Trump doesn't do something about the insurance that the American people need, especially the people that need the money to do that. You can't go out and tell this person that is struggling, well, I'm taking your insurance costs up X amount, that, just drives him and his kids and his family almost to the point where he rips his hair out. I happen to have a lot of hair, thank God. But I understand it. So I don't buy that the average person's doing well out there. I think the average person is struggling in a serious way. I'm not buying that the credit cards are seeing the interest rates drop just yet. Maybe yours is. I haven't seen mine do that. Maybe I've got the wrong cards. I don't know. So the reality of the situation is, it's not easy out there. It's a rough economy. We've got to get through the winter months where we're going to pay more for heat. You're noticing natural gas isn't dropping either, not by much, which brings me to UUP. Now, the dollar held its first challenge of the 18-day average, got back over its recent high. Can't do anything with it. It's void of a trend, but it certainly has upside bias. And in terms of momentum, it's no longer pointing down. In FXE, you're right bound to the point where we said this is going to be a test, and it is. For the near term, you've turned the swing line down, but you still haven't closed under the 18-day average of closes. If you do that, then you've turned the trend down in the market. So you put it all together, it's a difficult one that you've got to pay attention to. Not every market was down by the end of the day. When I started off this morning, there was so much red, I thought that I was losing my color. I'm going, all I'm seeing is red. I think there were, on my charts when I was looking at them, 4 or 5 that were up and maybe 40, 50 that were down into the red. So it was an ugly day. It got better as the day went on, but now it's all going to be about Nvidia. So you want to keep up with what I do? Move your cursor to the top here, go to our website, get into our research, you get to see it. You see what I talk about first thing in the morning, where I'm able to say, buy here, sell there, do so and so all the way through. You can click up here if you're watching me on YouTube, do it, and let me know what you want me to cover tomorrow. I promise you. I may not do it every day. I've got to set the charts up and so on, but I'm active again. I'm back. I'm feeling very good, and I want to cover what you want me to cover. Have yourself a great evening. Watch the other videos, and I'll catch up with you in the morning. You take care.